Hey, what's going on, everybody? So we at the last and final video. It's 3 speakers. These like the big ones too. I know it's a lady from the Barbados. Another guy, I'm not quite sure where he's from. And then we got Ghana's president speaking. Now I did look through some of this, but I know, especially the Ghanaian president, I really don't like what he's saying. But we gonna go head on and start with this lady from Barbados. I got a nickname for her. Her nickname is B. Arthur. But let's go ahead and start.
And now, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a statement by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Barbados. Please lend your attention to the screen for Excellency
Tonight, the 30 years of humiliation ends.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests all, good day. Whether historically in the contemporary sense, or even as we look towards the future, the value of Africa and her people is unquestioned. It has always been at the center of the world's gaze. But to what end, and to whose benefit? Those answers we know. Those answers are seen, felt, and heard in the fact that despite being the world's most resource-abundant continent, Africa in material wealth is also the poorest. We see the answers in the lives of countless African people and people of African descent globally who lack basic access to healthcare and medicines, who endure some of the worst effects of the global climate crisis.
I'm just going to pause right there. I'm going to get back to it. But, I thought everybody that come over here is doctors and lawyers and stuff. So why can't they go back home and help their people with, health care? How come the people that come over here and wave their flags and everything with pride, how come they don't go back home and help their people out? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what I've been seeing or hearing from past speakers, with them saying like, oh, we want y'all, like they are talking about Black Americans, but they also talking about the people that come up over here. How come they can't go home and bring back what they learned back home? If you care about your country so much, you love it so much to the point where you're waving them flags, go home, doctors and lawyers, and help your people. That don't make sense to me. That's all I got to say. Let me go ahead and get back to this lady here.
And whose countries are often on the outside, looking in as it relates to accessing global finance to address real vulnerabilities. What we have come to know is a lingering and deeply rooted systemic racism, perfected in the transatlantic enslavement of Africans and reproduced over the years through colonialism and imperialism. Those of us on the other side of the Atlantic, certainly for us in Barbados and other CARICOM countries, we know it all too well. We understand these effects to our core, for we are no strangers to crisis and the constraints of development in the face of inherited inequity. We know the answers to the cause and the effects of systemic oppression because, my friends, we live it every day and have done so. The CARICOM 10-point plan for reparations provide for our consideration for native genocide and transatlantic slavery, and we intend to broaden these in name and in focus to address East Indian indentureship and colonialism. Africa's intention to combine its efforts with the Caribbean's in this quest for reparatory justice is therefore timely, appropriate, and a much welcome development. I am confident that our collective vision and call to action can mobilize the global groundswell of support and the continued activism for fairness, justice, and equality for the people of African descent everywhere. This forum has been convened on these questions of peace, justice, and equality as we work to create an action plan for a sustainable reparatory justice process in Africa. And how do we achieve it? The answers we seek will come so long as we continue to ask.
This is what I got to say. Help home first. I just got a feeling that Barbados is not in the best condition. Help home first. Don't go around looking for everybody. I got to save the world. You got to heal the world. That's where Black Americans messed up. That's where we messed up at. We got to save the world. Now, We got to come back and save ourselves. You know, you got to fix home first. We got to get our house in order. And go ahead on and get back to her.
The right questions. Certainly, any conversation on the future development for Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America must include reparatory justice.
I knew I stopped it too soon because that's what I wanted to get at. She is including Latin America. So global reparations for African descent is also going to Latin America. You see the problem with that? You just all inclusive, including everybody. If that's the case, just give reparations to everybody because everybody comes from Africa. Latin America, where they have racial issues, you know, they treat their melanated citizens like trash, but you want to include them in a global African reparations. This don't make sense to me. Now, that's the first time I heard that when she's including Latin America in reparations.
The Accra Reparations Conference signifies the strengthening of ties and the collaboration between our respective nations, our institutions, our people and cultures on this long walk towards reparatory justice. The conference, therefore, joins a list of seminal international initiatives of significance to the Black and African peoples of our world. And what are these? 1. The United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. 2. The Permanent Forum for People of African Descent. 3. The 2022 Caribbean African Dialogues, co-organized by the University of the West Indies. 4. The Decade of Action to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. 5. The Caribbean Communities Reparatory Justice Initiative that was launched in 2013. And 6. The African Union Study Tour on Reparations and Healing to the Caribbean, which was hosted by my own country, Barbados, in July of this year. Each initiative, my friends, and doing its part to reconstruct a global society that functions, yes, to the benefit of all, ALL. The common thread leading us to this moment is the recognition that inequality remains the greatest enemy of progress and development. And until we accept that global problems such as reparations require globally coordinated responses grounded in strong global moral leadership, we will be victims of change rather than leaders of transformation.
So y'all want to be the leaders of this whole thing, and you did not welcome or announce this to Black Americans, but you want to be the leader. You want to take over the reparations movement. All right.
Accountability
Not all right,
must therefore play a key role in the solutions applied in today's world. It is against this background of that impulse towards equality and accountability, harnessing that determination to redress imbalances and inequalities, and to ensure that our nations and our people are not left behind, that all of the partners assembled here must resolve to redouble our efforts and to work collaboratively with each other. Over the next few days, the conference will focus on building a united front and strengthening collaboration among African nations, the African diaspora, civil society organizations, policymakers, and other key stakeholders to advance the cause of justice and reparations. The development of Africa must be defined in its own interests and image. But however, we know that the burden of the reversal of centuries of systemic oppression is not Africa's alone to bear. It is for this reason that I wholeheartedly welcome the establishment of an African Committee of Experts on Reparations as one of the most critical outcomes of this conference. Its mandate to aid in the development of a common African position on reparations and to implement the action plan for a sustainable reparatory justice process is critical to the success of the global reparations movement that we seek. As a region, the Caribbean remains firm in our pledge to deepen and grow the relationship between the Africa Union, CARICOM, and our regional brothers and sisters throughout Latin America. We will continue to apply our collective resources to devise strategies and to pursue synergies in our claim for reparations, the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Union's Agenda 2063, and the objectives of the International Decade for People of African Descent. As we continue this journey, I want us to remember that the questions we ask of ourselves are equally as important to those that we ask of the rest of the world. Chief among those questions has to be, why must we persevere? We will find that answer in the eyes of every child whose future depends on the actions and the decisions that we take today. There, we will see why we must honor our duty to memory and why we must lay down a moral compass that will undergird their humanity and indeed their very survival. We cannot change history, but we must reclaim, harness, and lay bare our collective memories to ensure that the injustices of the past are neither forgotten nor repeated. With these questions, my friends, in mind, as we engage over the duration of this conference, may our mission be a resounding success, and may it pave the way for even greater cooperation and shared achievements as we seek to bring restorative justice to our people after centuries of exploitation and oppression. The future is ours to shape. The future is ours to claim. Thank you.
A phenomenal voice.
So that's it for her. It's so much I want to say. And I'm going to say it. You know, while everybody was enjoying Christmas, because I enjoyed myself on Christmas, you know, with family, friends, doing the electric slide, all that good stuff. Do y'all know that they were having a all-out war in Nigeria? It was like hundreds of people that died because of tribalism. This is Pan-Africanism. Are they trying to create like a boule of Africa? That's kind of what I'm seeing a little bit, because it's like it's all glamour here, but they don't talk about what goes on in these Caribbean countries, including in African countries. It's like she's selling her people out, because if it wasn't for Ghana in the past, y'all wouldn't be over there. You totally ignore that. You talking about history and everything. That's the history. It's not just white people, because, you know, they had their hands in it, and it's up with them too, of course. But I'm not about to just sweep stuff under the rug like Africa didn't have a hand in this. And you, Barbados, you over there because of that. You know what I'm saying? Because of that tribalism. I just seen in Ghana, I just seen a video of a group of men attacking an elderly woman. Whatever she did, and they called it jungle justice. I just seen it in Ghana. They don't talk about that though. Twitter just show you all type of stuff. I just seen a Christian or deleted in Nigeria. Brutal stuff. That you literally see this stuff, right? And it just is shocking, because you never picture a people like this. I'm thinking right now they creating some type of boule Africa, and they trying to get a big payday, and they not gonna help them citizens out. In Africa, and Africans, and the Caribbeans, y'all need to call y'all leaders out. We do that. We call our people out. That's the issue we have with y'all. Y'all don't call y'all people out. See, that got me on a whole tangent going off the rails. Let me just say this one more thing. This last thing. Girl, why you ain't call Rihanna to send you over there? Rihanna could have got you a plane ticket and brought your shots and stuff to go to Ghana. Why you not there? Rihanna, where you at? You ain't tell Rihanna about it? But okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to the next speaker. All right, so we got the next speaker here. I know he represents like a United Africa. He like under the president of Ghana as far as like probably top dudes over this stuff. But yeah, he's speaking for like a United Front Africa. So let's see what he has to say. I forgot what his name was, but let's see what he's talking about.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, I greet you with the greetings of Islam and blessings. My greetings to His Excellency President Akufo-Addo,
Présidence de la Commission de l'Union africaine.
Distinguished invited guests, all protocols observed. Assalamu alaikum. Allow me to start by thanking my brother, President Nana Akufo-Addo, as well as the government and people of Ghana for the very warm welcome which was extended to us, to both my good self and my delegation, right from our arrival in this beautiful country. We want to express our gratitude for their hospitality, which makes us feel at home here in Accra. It is indeed an honor for me to be with you today, and this on the occasion of this all-important rendezvous for our continent, and this in its march towards a sustainable economic and human development. We have gathered here in justice regarding reparations relating to slavery and colonialism. This beautiful country, Ghana, is the best place to host such a conference. Indeed, this is a country where Kwame Nkrumah, one of the founding fathers of the African Union, was born. He was one of the promoters of African independence and African rights. Ghana has therefore always been at the forefront of the protection or defense of our parentage and the healing from colonialism and apartheid. Allow me, in this regard, to pay tribute to the continuous commitment of the Republic of Ghana and his president, our brother Akufo-Addo. It is thanks to your exceptional political commitment, also thanks to your advocacy for an equitable and fairer world, and this for the African community as a whole, that the Assembly of Heads of State and Government at the African Union adopted in February 2023 in Addis Ababa, and this unanimously, the historic decision was adopted on the constitution of a united front to promote the courts of justice and the payment of reparations to Africans. Your Excellency, distinguished invited guests, the history of
They love that word, Your Excellency. Excellencies. The announcer said it and all of them said it.
slavery and colonialism in Africa is a dark phase of our history, which was characterized by exploitation, suffering, and injustice, which was inflicted upon Africans and their descendants. Whether it was transatlantic or the Western, slavery created irreversible harm within the African populations. It was millions of Africans who were uprooted from their families, from their homes, from their cultures, from their languages and their history. And this brought about incommensurate consequences which continue to to wreak havoc in our populations to date. My country, the Union of Comoros, was not spared by this tragic phase of our history. We are the model of Mozambique, and it was one of the stops for the slavery market towards the tragic destinations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us face our history by recognizing its effects and ask for concrete measures to be adopted in order to ensure reparations for the harm caused. It is therefore necessary for us to have a common understanding of the far-reaching nature of the harmful natures because slavery and colonialism are still resonating in the economic and social as well as political inequalities. We therefore have to pool our efforts together in order to educate, sensitize, and bring about a general awareness within our populations. Not only that, but also within the rest of the world in order to banish the structures that maintain such inequalities to date. It is in this light that I would like...
Y'all got the short end of the stick. I wonder what they got. I didn't quite catch where he's from, but I did pick up what he said it was one of the stops. I wonder what they, unless he's from the Caribbean, I don't know. But if he's from Africa, I wonder what they slave dungeons got. Like, did they get fancy cups? Did they get muskets? Mirrors or umbrellas? I wonder what they got.
To commend you for the historic decision which was taken at the General Assembly of the African Union, which was taken in February 2000. By having this united front, we affirm our commitment for justice and reparations. This united front is therefore a call for action. It is a call to transcend divisions and to work together, and this for the future of each individual, wherever they come from, whatever their race is, whichever their region is. For them.
What is you talking about? This is all over the place. Whatever their race is. What? Bro.
To live in dignity. It is
whatever they race
financial
is.
reparations will make up for the harms, just like it.
I think they elect anybody. I don't think this guy too smart, bro. Even the soldier looking like, what is he talking about? Like, you talking about all races? What? That's why I said you might as well include white people too. Hell.
It's been done in the CARICOM region. Reparations also involved initiatives which aim at strengthening the victim communities through education and the guarantee of equality in the face of opportunities for sustainable development for these communities who have for long been left behind. Reparations also imply investments in the construction of a common future where there's justice. Reparations, finally, involves intensifying restructuring efforts in international institutions for justice targeting Africa. This is the meaning of the struggle that we conducted together to ensure a more inclusive world, and which led in September to the integration of our organization, our Pan-African organization, within the G20, which has now become G21. It is along those...
Did y'all catch that? I've been saying they've been wanting to make this all inclusive, and now at the end he's finally saying it. They finally getting to the point. After 3 hours, they're finally getting to the point. When I've been saying it sound like all inclusiveness this whole time, and now they're finally getting to the point. That's what it's been about. All races. everyone, and you get a reparations.
Lines that we are fighting to ensure that we have a permanent seat for Africa within the Security Council of the UN. This request goes hand in hand with our common will to reform our political and international political and financial systems, which unfortunately are not representatives of a global ethical structure. Therefore, I call for an ambitious plan for reparations, a plan that would take the form of the financing of industrialization, which we would want to see in our continent for its people. That industrialization would enable our partners for our resources to be transformed or processed here to have value addition, leading to job creation, which would lead to reduction of migration by our youth. That plan would also support the after. For
Y'all hear that, doctor and lawyers? More jobs over there for you. That's what they want. Y'all not getting on our claim, though. I wonder how that job worked, though, because, you know, they got the mines and stuff over there. So instead of paying them like a penny, what they gonna do, pay them two? It's so messed up how y'all doing y'all people out there. That is crazy.
which we have a mission to make further progress during my term in 2023. If we have a united front in order to make progress with justice and the payment of reparations for Africans, we would set the stage for a more equitable and inclusive society. Therefore, would want to see this conference facilitate discussions as well as the sharing of knowledge for more justice and for the lessons of the past to be able to guide us towards a better future for us and future generations. I thank you for your kind attention.
Excellencies, ladies.
I told you, excellencies. But, yeah, he was a little hard to get through. He was kind of dragging on for me. But, yeah, because he was kind of everywhere. I honestly think that they just vote anybody in, bro. Because, like, what? All races and inclusiveness. Did y'all get that? That's what I got. Everybody gets a reparations. Well, it's that time. Let's go ahead and get into the big dog. All right, everybody. So we got the big dog. We finally at the end. This is the president of Ghana. And I'm already going to tell you now, what you about to hear is going to really take you there because it took me there. But, I'm going to go ahead and let it play, and I give my commentary as we go along.
Left the stage. He promised you that he would be back. And so he has...
Oh, this is his intro guy. The guy talking right now, you know, he had to have an introduction. Everybody needs their theme music.
Offered me his last words as I come to pour the final foundation and the libation that will usher in the elder of our land to speak. And in pouring this libation, allow me, in the spirit of brotherhood, to go all the way to the Caribbean to draw inspiration from an invocation of a great prophet, a prophet of the fraternity of the Rastafari, inspired by the conquering lions of the tribe of Judah. Get up, stand up for your right. Don't give up the fight. Get up stand up for your right. Every generation must determine the battles to fight, the rights to stand for, in order to assert their identity on the global landscape. Back in the era of the Middle Passage, when our ancestors were captured, marched through the dungeons all the way out of the door of no return into the hungry ships waiting to sail to the new world, there were resistance to slavery. There were those who stood up to protect their families and their nations, even across the tempestuous oceans, with no room to breathe or turn in the ships, there were those who still resisted, some preferring to jump overboard into the bottomless ocean than make it to the New World. And even at the New World, across the Americas and the Caribbean, there were those who continued to resist. And it is the culmination of that resistance that led to the abolition of slave trade, that led to civil rights, that led to the freedom fight here on the continent of Africa. And so if we're here today enjoying political rights, it is because others before us sacrificed their sweat, their blood, and their lives. And so, the question for our generation.
I'm just pausing this right quick. Now I know this guy with the beard here. I think he worked in Cobra. I don't have his name, and I've seen the lady next to him. I'm gonna have to look these people up. Yeah, but before we go on, I don't like how dude is making this story. For one, we not embarrassed about that. They think, I just feel like they think that it's an embarrassment of what we went through, but it's not. Our people fought here, and we're very proud of that. Yeah, I'm just seeing how this going. They're gonna include us, Black Americans, in this. I already see how it's going. So let's get back to the theme music. But yeah, I definitely gotta look them two up.
What battles are we choosing to fight? What rights are we choosing to stand for so that our children may also enjoy from our sacrifice? And that is why we have gathered here today. Because we have decided that we will fight the battle for reparations. Not because we feel that you can ever pay us back for all that was taken, but just as it was done to others, some compensation will go a long way to help to bridge the gap between Africa, its diaspora, and the rest of the world. There is a train coming, a train of reparations. Zion train is coming our way. Chuku chaka, chuku chaka. Zion train is coming our way. And the conductor of this train is none other than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, who I believe, because of his quests for justice, for the consciousness of Africans and the Black people around the world, is a true Rastafari at heart. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Zion train is coming our way.
His Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of the Comoros and AU Chairperson, Her Excellency Victoria Tomega Dogbe, Prime Minister of the Republic of Togo, His Excellency Gervais Nidara Kubuka, Prime Minister of the Republic of Burundi, the Honorable Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet, fellow Africans, and
yeah, I had to skip through that because he was announcing everybody. Yeah, let's get back to the Chuka Chaka. I don't know. That was weird.
Members of the African diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana is humbled by her choice as host for the Africa Reparations Conference, which is being held on the theme, Building a United Front to advance the course of justice and the payment of reparations to Africans. To those of you coming from beyond our shores, especially to the AU Chairperson and President of the Union of Comoros, His Excellency Azali Assoumani, I extend a hearty akwaba, our word of welcome, and I hope you enjoy your stay, all too brief, amongst the people famed for their hospitality. I thank the African Union for this initiative, bringing together under one roof this distinguished audience from all spheres of life and from all over the world to participate in this conference with its rich agenda and to deliberate on its important theme. When I proclaimed 2019 as the year of return in front of the Congressional Black Caucus of the United States Congress.
Pause. That's why I said it's gonna piss me off, because he included us. He got the Black Caucus that's supposed to represent Black Americans. He got them just sitting there just happy, like, we're in Africa because we're Africans. The Pan-Africans are at it again, selling us off.
Celebrating the 400th anniversary of the commencement of the transatlantic slave trade, one of the most unfortunate and barbaric episodes of human history. I was particularly excited about the passion with which our kith and kin from the Americas and the Caribbean in particular spoke about reconnecting with the motherland. There was the recognition that never again should the black person allow him or herself to be subjected to the dehumanizing conditions of slavery. The barbaric and inhumane transatlantic slave trade, in whatever form, should never be repeated, and never again should the African peoples be described as indented servants or apprentices for life. For us in Ghana, we recognize our unique position as the location for 75% of the slave dungeons built on the west coast of Africa, through which the slaves were transported. Indeed, Simon Newman, in his book, The West African Ethnicity of the Enslaved in Jamaica, says, and I quote, "Evidence suggests that the Gold Coast, now modern-day Ghana, was the largest source of Jamaican slaves who arrived, remained, and survived in Jamaica," unquote. Right from the day we attained our freedom and independence from British colonial rule on the 6th of March, 1957, the first sub-Saharan state to do so, we have always seen ourselves as owing a special responsibility to Africans in the diaspora. Not only do we believe that we have a responsibility to extend a hand of welcome back home to Africans in the diaspora, as we did in 2019 during the year of return, we believe the calls for reparations to Africa are just. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it began with some 20 slaves from West Africa being forcibly sent in 1619 to the Commonwealth of Virginia in order to become part of the United States of America.
Okay, before we get into this, now y'all see where it's going. We are being included in the president's speech. He's starting off in 1619 with us coming to Virginia. But y'all been doing it way before then. And you're including us with the help of the Black Caucus into your shenanigans. What if we don't want to go back? Obviously, you didn't really invite us there. You invited, the Pan-Africans, the head honchos, the Ant Cobras, and you invited them. They ain't tell us about this, though. You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting the people. The people need to know about this. And you just including us in your story because we have the greatest story of all time, honestly, with all we've been through. And now we got the people that started white supremacy, that sold their own people into slavery to a white man. And you asking for reparations for something that you started, that you helped. You ain't even say, like, I don't think this president gave an apology. I think somebody else back in 2017 gave an apology. You ain't mentioning it now because you just want reparations from somebody. when this is our idea. We need reparations from you, Ghana. I didn't know that they had the most slave dungeons. But let me go ahead and get back to this. But yeah, y'all already see where it's going. You already see.
It was the first of 36,000 voyages to and from Africa, which resulted in some 20 million Africans from Central and West Africa being sold into slavery in the Americas and the Caribbean. We're also told that 10% of this number, that is some 2 million Africans, lost their lives en route to their destinations, with the Atlantic Ocean serving as their final resting places. As if this was not enough, the continent had to endure centuries of being colonized by the same people who undertook the slave trade. Identity and personality of Africans were brutally assaulted, and the imprints of colonialism and imperialism woven deeply into the fabric of our lives. For many of the millions of the descendants of these unwilling travelers to the Americas, Africa remains a continent of deep emotions and unresolved questions. But what we do know is that the African peoples built and contributed to the success of the Americas.
Black Americans built the Americas. We built this. We built America, not Africans.
Even though they did not willingly make the journeys in the 200 years of the slave trade, once there, they were and have been an integral part of the success in their new homes, even though they have not benefited nearly as much as they should have from their toil. The effects of the slave trade have been devastating to the continent and to the African diaspora. The entire period of slavery meant that our progress, economically, culturally, and psychologically, was stifled. There are legions of stories of families who were torn apart. Fathers who went out to fish or farm never returned. Boys who went out to play and were taken never came back. Daughters who went to fetch.
Well, it was called the point of no return that y'all helped do, you know. And we came here and got mixed in with different people.
Never saw their parents again. You cannot quantify the effects of such tragedies, but they need to be recognized. Africa and her peoples lost out tremendously in that period, and its ripple effects are still being felt right to this day. Reparations for Africa and the African diaspora are long overdue. Predictably, the question of reparations becomes a debate only when it comes to Africa and Africans. When the British ended slavery, all the owners of enslaved Africans received reparations to the tune of some 20 million pounds sterling, the equivalent today of some 20 billion pounds sterling. But enslaved Africans themselves did not receive a penny. Likewise, in the United States of America, owners of slaves received $300 for every slave they owned. The slaves themselves received nothing.
We weren't African then, so why are we in your thing?
Take the case of Haiti, which had to pay reparations amounting to 21 billion United States dollars to French slaveholders in 1825 for the victory of the Great Haitian Revolution, the first in the Americas and the Caribbean, which freed the slaves. It was a payment made under duress that impoverished Haiti throughout the 19th century till today. Native Americans have received and continue to receive reparations. Japanese American families who were incarcerated in internment camps in America during World War II received reparations. Jewish people, 6 million of whom perished in the concentration camps, of Hitlerite Germany received reparations, including homeland grants and support. So it is time for Africa, 20 million of whose sons and daughters had their freedoms curtailed and sold into slavery, also to receive reparations.
This is my thing. I wonder where he getting these talking points from. He said the Japanese and the Native Americans, which all happened over here. So where is he getting this from? Who wrote this for him?
No amount of money can restore the damage caused by the transatlantic slave trade and its consequences, which have spanned many centuries. But surely, this is a matter that the world must confront and can no longer ignore. And even before these discussions on reparations conclude, the entire continent of Africa deserves a formal apology from the European nations involved in the slave trade.
It was a business deal. Like, what is you talking about? It was crap because y'all only got umbrellas, but it was a business deal. We deserve an apology. We deserve reparations from them and you.
For the crimes and damage it has caused to the population, psyche, image, and character of the African the world over. The Caribbean community, CARICOM, has unequivocally pronounced its demand for the payment of reparations. We in Africa must work together with them to advance the cause of reparations. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate that the call for reparations is not a plea for arms, but a valid demand for justice. If reparations can rightfully be paid to victims and descendants of the victims of the Holocaust, so can reparations also be paid to the descendants of the victims of the slave trade. It has been 400 years. It has been 400 years, and we want to bring closure to this tragedy. Whilst at it, let me point out that the subject of reparations must go along with the matter of restitution. The initiative for the return and restitution to the continent must also be a major issue of concern for all Africans.
So I hope y'all seeing, I was going to wait till the end to say this, but I hope everybody's seeing it's a reason why they want us to call ourselves Africans. It's a reason why Pan-Africanism is being pushed on us. It's because it is. Because they want us to come back over there. That's why. They want us to get reparations. Which they know they can't get it. They know we can. That's why we in his speech now. But they want us to call ourselves Africans and return back with the bag. That's why they pushing this African stuff on us. But I'm going to go ahead and let this finish. And I'm going to go ahead and let this finish. I'm going to stop trying to interrupt. But it's really... How dare you? How dare you just include us in your stuff? You did that, bro. Like, come on, man.
We must call for the return of African cultural properties that were illegally and shamelessly transported from the continent. This reconnection of the present and the past will also help to build new relations with the international community, especially that of Europe, which was principally responsible for the original theft of the cultural properties. Most of these cultural properties, when returned, will also offer Africans the opportunity to develop local knowledge of the technological, cultural, social, and aesthetic value of the objects.
I wonder if they sold that
I'm
stuff.
aware that countries such as Senegal, Nigeria, and Benin have managed successfully to regain possession of some of their cultural properties that were illegally moved out of their territories. Ghana has also successfully recovered some of its stolen cultural properties and relics. For example, in 2008, the government of Ghana collaborated with the elders of Ahanta to return the severed head of Nana Bedu II, who was executed in 1838. Other success stories include the return of some family collections of the Ashanti royal family and an Ashanti stool in 1988 by the British government. The return and restitution of African cultural properties to the continent will help Africans, and in particular, the descendants of the communities, groups, and individuals who created and produced these cultural properties to reconnect to their history, to their pioneers, to their knowledge. Together, we must work to change the African narrative, which has been characterized largely by a concentration on disease, hunger, poverty, and illegal mass migration. Let us all remember that the destiny of all black people, no matter where they are in the world.
And now they calling themselves black. Like, what? You did not call yourselves black. All of it's a scam. It's a scam.
Is bound up with Africa. We should never forget the famous admonition of the celebrated Jamaican reggae star Peter Tosh, which I love to cite, when he said, "Don't care where you come from. As long as you are a black man, you are an African," unquote. Yeah. We must help make Africa the place for investment, progress, and prosperity, and not from where our youth flee in the hope of accessing the mirage of a better life in Europe or the Americas. We must do all we can to derive maximum dividends from our relations with the diaspora in mutually beneficial cooperation and as partners for shared growth and development.
That's cold talk. We better cooperate. That's cold talk. Call yourselves an African. Bring your bag over here.
That is why I'm excited about the holding of this conference, largely because of the renewed enthusiasm around building Africa together. The second half of the 20th century witnessed a great blow for human freedom and progress when the African peoples, in the wake of Ghana's shining example, liberated themselves from the colonial and imperialist yoke and the racist ideology of apartheid, and emerged as free, independent peoples to construct new hope, nations of hope and advancement. The first half of the 21st century should consolidate this development and see the growth of modern, prosperous, technologically advanced nations within a united Africa, which will make a reality of the dream of the 21st century as the African century, and bring dignity and respect to black people all over the world. My hope is that this conference will chart a roadmap which will define the nature and incidence of reparations that collectively we seek. May God bless Mother Africa, black people everywhere, and us all. And thank you for your attention.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the President of our Republic and co-convener of the Africa Reparation Conference, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
So, I wonder when he was growing up, did he call himself black or did he call himself his tribe? That's what I want to know. Because I've always called myself black. I'm sure other black Americans have always called themselves black. You know, this African American term that was pushed on us came from, you know, them people. The same people that's sitting in that audience. They ain't gonna put the big dogs in there, but they sure got them other two up in there. Giving him talking points about Japan and stuff over here in America. Telling us we need to cooperate, to call ourselves Africans, and to come back over there for investments. Like, come on now. You ain't fooling nobody. All this stuff, Africa deserves their stuff. But you deserve to. You have to give us reparations. You did this. It's I actually, when I was doing this, it was live. Somebody wrote down, like, it was an African wrote down, like, well, are we going to also say that we contributed into it? We contributed into the slave trade? He putting all of us in. He started off with 16, 19, gave our little story. Because we got the greatest story, and they know the world knows our story. I don't know if the world, it's not like, it's not a popular thing that Africa, people know that Africa had their involvement, but people know. For y'all not telling us anything, the Black Caucus that work with them, a particular party, to call us African and sit up in there and ain't tell us nothing, not the people. The same thing y'all did with the term African American, just changing stuff without telling the people that don't really agree with it. Because I'm currently reading the book now about a lawsuit against Jesse Jackson for changing our names to African American. All this is just crazy that y'all could sit up in here and ask for reparations when you were involved in it. It was a business at the time. You sold my ancestors. You sold your best, strongest people to the Americas, to the United States of America. And now you were left with you. You still got slavery going on now with different tribes. I told you about the Christmas massacre in Nigeria. They over there attacking elderly people in Ghana right now. It's a lot of stuff going on. You want us to come back over there? Get your stuff in order. We not coming over there. Reparations to the Black Americans here on this soil. Thank you to my ancestors that fought for our freedoms here. And we are going to reach that reparations. I believe we are. Probably not in our lifetime. I don't know. I can't say. But we definitely got to stop this. And we definitely not going to call ourselves Africans, because we're not African. But that was it. That was the speaker, the last speaker, the president of Ghana, Mr. Slick Talk, Mr. Cold Talk, Corroborate. I'm not calling myself an African. I'm a Black American. And we deserve reparations from not only you, but from the United States. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed the series of videos. Sorry it took so long. It's life. We'll come back with something else to react to, or whatever comes to heart for me. I hope you guys have a good one. Happy New Year's, and have a good one.